Hi, welcome to Piano Think. This is an answer to Rachel's question about accompanying, and specifically accompanying someone who uses a lot of rubato, and sometimes that's a little bit difficult to practice for. I spend a lot of my time accompanying, and in fact, when I'm accompanying the right person, it's probably my most favorite thing to do with the piano. I think pianists are a little bit lonely. We spend so much time by ourselves. It's fun to make music with other people and to react to them and so on. This is a great question, and if anyone else has any questions you'd like me to address, I'd love to do so, and just put those in the comment sections on the YouTube videos. So the question was, again, how do you accompany someone who's using a lot of rubato, and how do you practice for that? Well, a few things come to mind. First, whenever I'm rehearsing with someone, of course, this is very basic, I always work with a pencil, and I'm always, in fact, sometimes I'm actually playing the part with them with a pencil in my mouth, and while they're playing, I'm actually writing in the music little squiggle marks, which means where they're taking time. I think a very difficult thing, though, is sometimes there's different senses of time between maybe the soloist and the accompanist, and there's sometimes the sense of, well, you're the accompanist, you're supposed to follow me, and it is our job to follow, but there is a kind of a common courtesy or common understanding of time. Sort of like driving, if someone's just driving completely erratically, it can be difficult to work around. So in a situation like that, perhaps I might turn on the metronome and said, let's just try this completely straight and find out exactly where the pulse is, and then we'll work from there once we know where our basic guideline is. And what I like about the metronome is that it's objective, and it can be a little bit of an awkward dynamic because you don't want to just be telling the soloist, hey, you're off, you're taking too much time. I mean, it is, I think in general, in a situation like that, even though it's an equal partnership, I do think it's more, depending on the soloist, I will usually give them 51% shareholder, because I want them to know what their ideas are, and they've probably spent more time on the piece, and I'm willing to follow those ideas. But then the metronome is an objective kind of black and white truth, finding out exactly where the pulse is. Another thing I like to do is when I'm rehearsing the part on my own, sometimes I will sing their part while I'm playing, and it gives me a really good sense of how the parts interact together, and it puts that part immediately in my ear, and it kind of reproduces the way I will be hopefully accompanying the soloist, where I'll have 2 ears on them and 1 ear on my own playing, so to speak. And then maybe a third thing I could do is when they want to take a lot of time, I might ask them, I'm curious, you take a lot of time there, is there a particular reason why? And it might be a fermata, it might be a particular harmony, but having a sense of, making them have a sense of why they want to take time might clarify where they take time. Frankly, I'm a believer of this formula. Say it first in color, meaning dynamics, texture, any number of things, then say it in time, but not vice versa. But ultimately, there has to be a common agreement where the pulse lies. And if someone's taking time going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, that's going to be impossible to follow because it's not organic. If they do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's very organic, and you could almost graph the way the time is changing. Other things that will help me in terms of taking time, if it's a singer, I am obsessive about making sure I can see their mouth while they're singing as they're forming syllables. And if it's a string player, I want to make sure I can see their bow. If I can't see these aspects of their playing, it makes me very nervous because I can't quite tell how they're going to manipulate time. I do find, though, when I work with someone an extensive amount, over a number of concerts or many rehearsals, I develop a kind of ESP often with them, because I get a sense of their body language, the speed of their vibrato, the way a singer forms syllables in their mouth, the speed of which those syllables are actually coming. All kinds of things. Their breath support. I have a sense of how they might react on stage, and how we can interact together. And that's a beautiful and magical thing that soloists can't do. Anyway, Rachel, I'm so glad you're accompanying. It's a fantastic way to make music, to make money, and I always, it's not a joke, but I joke that the great accompanist is the last musician in the world to ever starve. Everybody needs a pianist for something. So keep that up, and I hope all of you, in fact, I tell all my students, if you want to learn how to play musically, playing solo piano, accompany singers. And of course they're singers, but really violinists generally are singers. Oboe players are generally singers. You learn so much about phrasing and how to tame this beast, which is actually a percussion instrument, how to make it a singing instrument. And you get to make great music that's out of your normal repertoire. It's a win-win situation.